Everybody, welcome back to the Whitecloaks Re-watch. We are now on part 4 of episode 3, which is turning into a unmitigated disaster, not on our part, despite how much we're drinking. We are again joined by General Matt Cawthon as our guest reviewer. If you watched the last video, I hope you did, because otherwise this one might not make chronological sense. Um, you guys have met him. You know his connection to the Wheel of Time. You know he's staying sober for this, which is just gets mad amounts of respect from us because Pips, Alex, and I were pretty freaking loaded so far. So, with that, we are trying to get all the way to the end of the gay sex joke scene, which is in about 10 minutes, 11 minutes of runtime from here. Um, but yeah, let's see what we come up with as we go through this. Dana, the Tumblr Dark friend, is just basically supplanted the wood chopping from Rand's return to his house in the Eye of the World. So I guess let's go from here. And I know Matt, you said you were very keen on having this scene to comment on. Um, Anything you want to say up
Yeah,
front about that?
not yet. I'll have to wait for it to show up on screen. I don't have a whole lot to say, but boy, I have a whole lot of emphasis to put on what I do say.
All right. Um, so yeah, let's see him split some wood. Two strong lads can manage.
And could it be any more obvious that they had just split that for this scene and that had not been out there for a long time? Like, look at the ends of that.
No. Here's what I want to know. You look at those logs. They've been cut by chainsaw.
Yes, very.
That's
Yeah,
what I was going
that's
to
what I
say
was
as well.
saying.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah. There's no way that you get logs split. Like if everyone's using axes to fell the trees, then the logs themselves that you're trying to split are not that straight. Other
Okay, well,
than if it,
that's as good a moment as any. You say using axes. We have not
yeah.
yet seen an axe. What we have here is a hatchet, and I will try to get it on screen. Okay.
Are you suggesting that a single hand hatchet would be the wrong tool to split wood?
Okay, so for anyone
Jesus.
who's listening who's never chopped wood or anything, this is what you call a hatchet. This is what you use to trim off little twigs and stuff. You might rough up a bit of wood for some kindling or something. You would never, ever, ever split firewood with this. You can't get the force into it. You can't use two hands while you're chopping. Really, it's just so bad. It, it I can't even. Oh. It's just the lack of attention to detail here, and this looks like wet wood to me, which would probably be pretty hard to chop, even with a
It's
proper
insane.
maul.
It's insanely wet wood. It's all green and shit on the outside. You don't. There's no way you can fucking split this. Even if you had like a pneumatic wood splitter, it would not split. This is stuff that you put out in the sun to dry for months, so that when it comes time to split, you can split it. But more importantly, when it comes time to put it on a fire, it actually burns instead of just
Yeah,
smokes out.
smoking.
Like
Oh gosh, it's so bad. Oh, not only do they cut the firewood into a little bit, or cut the logs into a little bit of firewood with a chainsaw, but they also seem to have cut some of the pieces lengthwise. Uh, geez. It's so bad.
Do
Not
we
it
do
doesn't
we
really
actually
affect.
see him splitting a single piece with this,
I
or
don't I don't think so.
No,
There is
they
something
intentionally
later.
split it
Yeah,
so that he swings down from the back
Mhm.
and two pieces pop out.
That makes sense because yeah, you would not like. I mean, man, maybe if it's super dry, it's a small little piece, no knots, and you're ridiculously strong. But yeah, a single hand axe or a hatchet like that, you're not gonna be able to do anything with that.
and I'll say this, like, you guys remember that scene from, is it, which Marvel movie is it, where they're hiding out at
Infinity War.
Hawkeye's? where they're hiding out of Hawkeye's house, and Captain America splits a bit of firewood just with his hands. Like that is more believable to me than this, especially with uh, this actor holding the axe. It
Chat saying
doesn't
it's
look
Age
like
of Ultron.
yeah,
Yeah,
it is Age of
correct.
Ultron. Yes. Oh gosh, that is more believable to me than this. It's so bad.
I guess my question is, would you trust this actor to do this on camera? Because I wouldn't. I would be terrified that I'm going to catch on camera him putting that through his shin. But
Okay,
We'll
so
see when we
if
watch
we
it here in a
pause
minute.
here,
In a minute here, we'll have to see whether or not the
Well-
axe head is CGI'd.
so Rand is saying to Matt that Dana is a bit young for him because Danya or Dana, like oddly enough, they have this almost the same name, but apparently Rand was fully aware that Matt was a total muff diver back in Emmons Field.
Are you referring to the scene from that leaked script?
Yeah,
Or
and,
oh god,
but everything foots with that, right? How he got the bracelet and he comes out of the barn, even though you never saw that. Like oddly enough, he didn't wipe his mouth, even though that would have fit with all that. Yeah, Rand was completely macking on older chicks in Emmons Field in order to get their
Matt,
wealth.
Matt was yeah.
Anyways.
I'll be honest. I didn't get the impression that she was that older than any of them. But
Well, the
yeah,
Well,
important
presumably she's got a valuable bracelet worth stealing. Then it's
the
because
important thing
always had a bit of
is
life experience.
the important thing is that whenever you decide as a narrative sort of element to age up your characters, you want to continue to make sure that they're all expressively, called out on scene for being young, and then also have them act as young as possible. Just silly YA garbage emotional stuff happening all the time. That way your effort to age up the performance really rings true for the audience. That's what you want.
yeah. I guess
Oh God! Fuck off! Show right here, right here. Can you pause, Matt?
Hey, we got a sniff.
We did, but they turned that into a sex joke. Like we'll take turns. Do you think she's up for it?
Yep.
The
I
fuck?
no,
Like,
I don't
right,
think I don't think that was intended. Rand is offering like
it
hey, we're share-
100% was.
no. The quip back is, do you think she's interested? Kind of thing. That is kind of the. No one like pre 2015 would speak like this.
that's very much true.
Which is, and this is kind of it's modern fucking Pornhub culture intruding on our dialogue, but there's no way a kind of Renaissance setting without gunpowder would have characters speaking this way. It and say what you want. It's like, oh, finally I get someone representing me and my fucking perversions, if that's your thing. Sorry, this is a fantasy world where you want to escape into. It's not your modern world. You don't want to be reflected your own trials and tribulations within your own daily life. You don't want this in your fantasy. You want an escape, and you want to have a coherent world that's realistic because it has real world inspirations from a time in history. And sorry, you don't get this type of degenerate fucking millennial bullshit in a fantasy setting unless it's been written after 2015 by someone who's on fucking Tumblr and works at Starbucks and couldn't get their own shit published and therefore decided to become a writer for Wheel of Time, the show by Amazon on fucking Prime. Go fuck yourselves. You guys suck.
Oh man.
Do you guys disagree?
Not substantively. Oh gosh.
Just such a Why are we writing Gossip Girl? Is my question. But
What? I said this before. The reason why Dana gets so much fucking airtime in the show is because writers write what they know, and what they know is being a fucking degenerate bartender with a nose
Well,
ring in a
that
buttfuck town nowhere.
that might line
Shit.
up with the whole getting his own episode.
I think it's worth pausing here. So this is where, Rand is still simping for Egwene and saying like, "Oh man, we need to get to the White Tower," and Matt is like, "Oh yeah, one of us being the Dragon Reborn, Aes Sedai. This is all such a joke, this, that, the other thing." They're taking the real perspective of the villagers of Emond's Field, which is like these Aes Sedai are not to be trusted. The whole like one of us is the dragon thing. If that had ever been said, it would have been 100% like, cool, you guys are bad people trying to corrupt our youth, get the hell out of our little village, right?
Yeah,
So
but
they're
even Matt would have known that the Aes Sedai cannot lie, right?
fair. The point that I'm making is that like the assumption of like this is all crazy, why are we listening to Aes Sedai, why are we doing all this stuff, is it's getting handed off from Matt to say all of those things under the influence of the dagger, right? So like, the evil Matt is talking about how
Oh
untrustworthy
no!
the Aes Sedai
Oh
are, right?
no!
Instead of
Oh,
like the whole world, literally everyone is like, Aes Sedai are super shady, and the only reason we put up with them is because they'll
oh
straight
my
up
god!
kill you or do crazy things to you with the one power. So basically,
Stop! It hurts. It hurts too much.
so they've flipped the like whole world's reasonable perspective about why you shouldn't trust Aes Sedai, and they've turned it into Dagger Matt's perspective.
Yeah, and that just reminds me of Egwene's mom greeting Moraine when she comes in. You're totally right. You're completely right.
They
Oh
all
my
love the
god.
Aes Sedai. The Aes Sedai are all perfect and wonderful.
No fault.
what I love about this is that they can't even do that right though,
No
because
fault
they
except
haven't given
plastic.
us the establishing shot of the dagger corrupting Matt. We're only going to get the dagger corrupting Matt later on. So this just seems like Matt talking. And I agree with you 100%. That's what they're trying to do. But once again, they've done this out of order.
Well, they've solved that
Yeah,
problem by saying Matt was actually bad the whole time, right? The darkness within him, right? So
Yeah.
it's either evil Matt or evil Dagger, but bottom line, good Aes Sedai, evil Matt, evil Dagger.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna ask you to pause here in a second. Yeah, they're probably dead, says Matt. Thanks, Matt, for pausing. And I know it's getting a bit confusing considering you're in the show and you're legions ahead of this fucking show, Matt. But one of the things we missed on the previous rewatch was the fact that Rand and Matt started screaming for Perrin and Egwene when when they were like 20 fucking miles and up the mountain away from Shadar Logoth, and they would have been shouting or staying close by trying to find them no matter what under any other normal circumstance. And the reason why it doesn't happen in the books is because of the way that Rand and Matt and Tom escape from Shadar Logoth, right? They find the uh, the river serpent, or fuck, the name of the boat's escaping me, but they get on Bail Doman's ship and they're too far
river serpent.
downriver. Is it River Serpent?
The
I'm pretty
spray,
sure it is.
the spray,
Oh, the
the river,
spray.
the
Oh,
river
No, it's the
yes.
serpent.
spray. It's the spray. Thanks, Pips.
The river
Yeah,
serpent is the
they're
one
on the
that
spray,
Aline and them go to.
and it gets pointed out like, okay, if you want to go back and look for him, sorry, you're like 5 miles, 10 miles away, and therefore, uh, like that's not going to work. Um,
Yeah, it's just
but
like,
everybody
you
leaves
be
Shadow
standing
Logoth
still?
on foot. Why do you walk 20 miles up a mountain, get a good panoramic view, and then start shouting for them? Like that in and of itself doesn't make any fucking sense.
The
And
implication
Matt
might have
saying
been that they've been doing that the whole time, but I don't know.
show don't tell, and we got neither. We didn't get it shown, we didn't get it told.
Yeah,
Right? If Matt said, "Stop shouting, you've been doing that all day." right? That's a way to
Yes.
tell
Yeah.
kind of thing. But what you get is it in essence like, all right, you're this far away, you believe they're alive, you have no basis for thinking that, and yeah,
Yeah,
fucking disaster.
and then we have all these people who are supposed to be, best friends since childhood, and both groups are showing how little they know the other one. Matt's assuming complete incompetence and death on the part of the other two. Egwene thinks Rand is going back to the Two Rivers, and just back
Well,
and
they
forth.
flip, right? Because it was Rand who wanted to go back to the Two Rivers, and Matt saying, "Well, she throws fireballs, so we should stay with her." And now it's flipped in this part of the episode where Matt is, "Well, I want to go back to take care of my sisters," and Rand is like, "No, I got to go to Tarvalon because I'm a simp."
Yeah, no consistency at all.
Anyway, I know I had a point coming up on this. Maybe I talked about it already. Oh, it's coming up. Coming up. All right, great. That's actually a good line from Matt.
Matt. Good for
'Cause
you, Matt.
telling Rand like it is, and you are such a prick, but fuck you, Rand. Have some self awareness. You are being a simp.
Gosh, they really just make him out to be an absolute piece of shit, don't they? Oh, wait. Let's
Chop some
can
wood.
can we try and replay that again? I mean,
Well, it was Matt's point, and he's
Fucking
got the
cut
pause
his-
button and the whole control. But do you actually see the hatchet come down and
No, it's not
split
even
the?
close.
it was already
No,
apart.
you don't.
Yeah, it's they had two little split pieces and they just knocked them to the sides. Lame.
Yeah,
He's
look,
not
look
even.
at look at how smooth the surface is on it.
Yeah, and he's
It-
not even in an axe swinging stance. You swing an axe like that when you're trying to put it down on the wood that like he's doing, not when you're actually chopping something. You
Not
get no force that way.
not to mention
So
anybody who's
here-
chopping wood would take that coat off before you started because you would literally
Yeah.
die.
Well, here's my question: that the chopping block that he's got, is that high for you guys? Because I know I usually
yeah, that's definitely high.
I always chop
was
straight onto the
ridiculously
ground.
high.
I always chopped them
That
straight
might
on the
not be
ground.
that might not be high for Book Rand, but it's definitely high for this guy.
Because we've all chopped wood and we know that hatchets really don't work. And fuck the show.
Okay, so in this upcoming scene, pay attention to uh, how much work or time the bartender is actually saving by Matt doing some of the work for her.
Oh, he's doing nothing. Not saving shit. But all right, latrine cleaning, good. Because I gotta go visit mine, even though it's not a latrine. It's an actual. I have indoor plumbing. But I have a question for you guys. And I'll be back in like 30 seconds, but I want to know how many times is beer specifically mentioned in the Wheel of Time? All 14 books. Beer. How many times does that word come up? And I'll let you guys ruminate. And if you guys have an answer, great. When I come back, I'm going to ask again what we've decided. But how many times have we had beers in the Wheel of Time?
Yeah, I think I agree with Gutpile in the chat. I think it's 0.
I don't necessarily want to say 0, but I would certainly say that the much more common would be ales, wines, punches, brandies. Like it's possible that somebody mentions a beer at one point or another. I mean, it's friggin' 15 books and tens of thousands of words, but certainly ale would have been the most common one that I recall.
So I've just cheated. I've just searched through the complete Wheel of Time on Kindle. There are 4 mentions of beer,
There we go.
of which 3 are in the
Brando Sandos.
yeah the Stormlight Archive
Yep.
preview. There
What's
is
the other one?
it is someone is talking with Matt. Brigitta's talking with Matt,
That makes sense.
and it mentions beer.
That makes sense. She would mention beer because she's got the memory from previous ages when they talked about beer instead of ales and brandies and meads and punches.
Well, it's really Matt's Pav saying beer. He says she liked ugly beer as much as she liked ugly men.
Holy fucking shit! I just rejoined here, Matt. Did you have the whole fucking series on digital and you controlled F that?
Yep. So there are 4 mentions of beer in the complete Wheel of Time,
I
3 of
thought
which
it was only one.
3 of which are from the Stormlight Archive preview.
Fuck. Well, that doesn't count.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's one mention of beer specifically, and you got the exact one because I have it all on digital too. Like I have all the hard copies, I have all the soft paperbacks, and I have it all digital. Like I've given Harriet way too much of my fucking money, but this rubbed me in these scenes and whatnot so wrong. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I haven't heard beer mentioned in all of Wheel of Time. That I went to Control F all of my digital books, and it came up once, and it wasn't a Brando Sando book, like Towers of Midnight, chapter like 22, Matt drinking with Brigitte, where you could easily substitute it for ale, which would have made a hell of a lot more sense. But you get ale, you get wine, you get cider, you get brandy. All those get dozens of mentions every books, but you never get beer. So I'm putting beer in the same category as shite and piss in your mouth and all the modern day swearing.
We would accept a Mercedes-Benz logo, but beer is just too much. Can't have that.
Touche. Fuck beer. Like I'm drinking wine right now, but fuck
Can
this
you
shit.
imagine what the reaction would be for people who haven't read the books when a little Mercedes-Benz thing shows up in Tenchico? Would they think like it's a Starbucks cup, like it's a mistake?
Oh no, it's like it's not even a luxury vehicle anymore. It's not even a Tesla. Come on, right?
Oh man. There you go. Horse
Just-
trader with no
I
horses.
kind of like, yeah, I like that line.
The horse
You
trader
really have
stuff?
to do him so dirty.
He's not a horse. But
In the grand scheme of things, it was an okay line, but it was stupid because he starts off, I was pretty well off in Emmons Field, like, as a horse trader. It's like, no, you weren't well off, and your dad wasn't well off. So if he was a horse trader in, Wheel of Prime, he's a really bad one.
Yeah, that's true. And him saying that he was even him saying that he was a horse trader, let's assume it's true and that he's not trying to talk himself up or whatever, even though he just said he was well off. Uh, why would you even say that? Like,
Oh, because everyone knows horse traders are well thought of. They're normally considered very honest people.
don't bring that up. That's
Well, no,
what
but
people use as justification for Abel or Abel. Abel's treatment
Abel
in
Cawthon, but
yeah.
this was Sneed's point is if you're an actual horse trader, that is you require a certain amount of working capital in order to trade horses.
Yeah, that's true.
You are not a poverty-stricken degenerate. You might be degenerate, but you'd be a well-off degenerate if you were a horse trader. Anyways, I have notes.
So here's the only bit where Matt actually does any work, and Dana spends the entire time just watching him.
I know she could have done exactly this, but she didn't.
Well, it saved
And
her
then
the
they-
time
they
from
make
walking around
jokes
the
that-
bar.
Does it? Because she's just sitting there kind of laughing about it. Like, is she off doing a second task? And then, oh, Matt made a tip, and she looks musingly, but it's like, the fuck? These are bartenders writing what they know. And that's why Dana gets so much friggin' airtime in this. Because if it wasn't for Rafe and this Wheel of Time show, all these writers would be back working at a bar.
Man, I
Okay.
what is there
Matt,
to say about
can you
this other
pause
than that
here?
it's just fucking
Pause.
depressing.
All right. Keep going, Alex.
I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, what is it? What you can almost see what they're trying to do here, in the sense that they're trying to characterize Matt as a guy that's always kind of looking to dip out of the of the hard work. Like that is a thing that they've gotten from the books. But fucking hell, a little bit of subtlety would have been appreciated. Like just uh, this didn't need to be dragged as long as it was dragged. And I'm sitting here like, if the show defenders are going to complain that, about the pacing of the Eye of the World, if they're going to say that the Eye of the World, this middle section dragged and it took too long and it was repetitive,
They
my
can go fuck
question is,
themselves.
all
They
right, I mean, I
honestly,
disagree completely.
the scarves repeating, and that's why it's repetitive. That was one of the best fucking creative devices Robert Jordan ever did. If anybody says okay, it's repetitive, and they point to the two red scarves and how it's disjointed and how it happened, that the whole play for your supper, those chapters, is my favorite part of the whole series. So everyone who rags on the Eye of the World, you can go get fucking cancer. That's
I'm a little odd. Like my
I,
first read through, I thought it did drag a bit, but on subsequent read throughs, I've loved it. I don't know if it's because of little things like Pater and
yeah.
gosh, I
I
keep drawing a blank on her
Good.
name.
I think the Eye of the World is
Millie.
generally better on a read through or on a reread anyway, because there are certain aspects. I mean, from the prologue to the Play for Your Supper to the finale at the Eye of the World, that like are disjointed and like confusing when you first read it intentionally, right? They're made to be
That's
that
the
way.
point.
That on a reread, it like you actually can make sense of it, and you can actually see what's happening. So I mean,
the beauty the beauty of doing rereads before the whole series was finished, right? I know I'm not the first one to do, like, people were doing rereads well before I did, because 8 books were out when I started. So I'm a noob compared to others like Osimoto or Tryp or whatnot. But what people who had all the books, so they're able to do a full reread, and supposedly everything, all the mysteries or whatever were revealed. It's kind of missing out, because you would do a reread after 7, 8, 9 books, and you'd be looking for the mysteries, and not all of them would get solved. And you'd be purposely going into each and every one of them, trying to dig out what is the possible meaning of this chapter. Is this a potential clue for that mystery over there? And there was a whole community online that was built around this. And God, like, if you weren't a part of it, I'm sorry. You can't be a gatekeeper for this series.
I was just gonna say, if the complaint about the from the show fans is that, um, the book is boring and repetitive, my God, people, why are we fucking having this scene for 7 minutes? Like, get to the fucking point.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much of this. It's just basically they waste so much time, and at the same time complain they only had limited time. You
Yeah,
you you could have gotten Pater, Howell Goad, and Millie Skane in the same amount of fucking screen time that you gave this Tumblr chick. Fuck her.
I mean, yeah, and I mean, if you're going, because this is the entirety of the traveling characterization that we're going to get for these two characters. This one scene is all they're going to give us of that section of the book, which is just a fucking crime against humanity. But
I
if
know.
that is what you're going to do, you couldn't have given us one of the interesting ones. I mean, why was this the one chosen? Why wasn't
No,
Rand calling down lightning the one that was chosen?
no. But Alex, you're wrong.
because that would give away the
This
mystery
is
halfway
not
through
one
the
of the
series.
dark friends from the books, right?
That's what I'm saying. They
Yeah.
took all of them, conglomerated them into Dana the Tumblr
No,
barmaid,
but they
and
didn't.
said,
They
"Here you
didn't.
go."
They didn't, because we'll see this, and this is maybe stretching beyond this section that we're doing with Matt here. but she is not a composite of Pater, Howell, Goad, and Millie Skane and
Yeah,
others.
absolutely.
No,
Bec-
I'm not. I'm
because
not saying
she
that they
is
took aspects of each one. I'm saying that rather than deal with, they didn't take a trait of each one and make them her. They just made their own thing that is supposed to, you know, um, cover all of them. Like
no,
they
but
didn't. They
it's
didn't.
worse. It's worse than that, Alex, and it's because they turn her into Ishmael. Because everything that we
Yeah,
know about
I was gonna wait till we got to that when she starts spouting the
but
philosophy.
I'm whatever. This is a rewatch, right? We're not spoiling
Yeah.
anything. We assume everybody's kind of followed every.
Oh god,
But
I hate that so much.
all of these dark friends that you get introduced early on, what are they tempted with? It's immortality, eternal life,
Immortality
power,
and ruling.
jewels.
Every
Every
single
single
dark friend
one.
throughout the entire series except for Shamael, and
Yes.
maybe you could argue time. Maybe.
Land fear, maybe because she was kind of
Yes.
well, she
Or
created the
yeah,
LTT
she
dick,
still wanted
but
she still wanted the power. She still wanted to rule.
yeah.
Um she didn't go to the shadow to get Luce Theron. She just still wanted him after going.
It's fine. The Tumblr barmaid got a Shamael's sort of like big sort of thesis and theory on life, and Logain got Rand's sort of veins of gold sort of theory on life too. It's fine.
Because what you want to do is take all the great insights from later books and move them right up front because that's how you do screenwriting. And oh my fucking god!
Oh,
Oh my
I
god!
just a depressing
I'm clutching my face.
series of events.
I hate the show.
Can we
so
rename
much.
this to Wheel of Prime, a series of unfortunate events?
Oh gosh,
It's not even unfortunate. It's deliberate fucking horseshit.
It's not like they don't have Ishamael at the end, at the finale of this season. They have Ishamael spouting a bunch of, his worldview and stuff, and but they still
Nihilistic, interesting kind of view of evil, right? It's basically all I've had of evil up until this point is that these people are selfish. They're self-interested, and all they really want is self-enrichment, and they want to live forever. And then it kind of flips a switch, and there were hints earlier on, and you got to give either Robert Jordan or Brandon Sanderson credit for this, being like, I don't think that Rand understands the true nature of evil. That doesn't understand what he's going to be assaulted with when he goes into the last battle, right?
Okay.
And it leads in brilliantly into what the ultimate message of the Wheel of Time is, which is
Yeah.
you need evil because you need to make it a choice.
And also that it's worth going on because you get to try and try again.
Yeah, and that's the veins of gold scene that they robbed from Rand very early on. But here, what they're robbing from Ishmael is the nuanced sense of evil. And to all these fucktards who basically ultimately they are nihilists, right? The people who believe in nothing, believe in skin deep representation, believe in destroying the past and think that they can create a better future out of it. They're fucking nihilists who would set the world on fire. Yeah, you guys are fucking evil. Stop portraying this awful, nose ringed Tumblr piece of shit character as something positive because I know what you're doing. She's evil. She deserves the knife through her fucking throat. Never show her again. And you guys should respect your betters and kill yourself. That's all I have to say to these writers.
Oh
I'm not
man.
gonna condone suicide, but yeah, no one cares about your nihilism.
There we go.
I gotta
Alright.
call out. I gotta call out.
Sorry,
Space
I've had quite a bit of wine.
I gotta call out Space Oyster in the chat though. Wheel of Prime, a series of unrelated events.
It is downright incoherent at times, but
Matt wants to go home. He's gonna go by riverboat, even though the riverboat is not going to hit the two rivers.
This is
and
where
they're
so
alone.
The
so
river
if you guys missed that,
perpendicular to the direction of travel.
if you guys missed that, that was the first time that we get that he's gonna leave his friends. He's gonna abandon them all because he's like, oh, I only need one ticket. I only need one ticket. Rand, nah, I'm leaving him behind. I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna go do my thing.
And this is where we get a solid 45 seconds of Dana basically ruminating about uh, the reason why she's a nihilist, and I don't give a shit. And the only thing I want to do here is count her earrings. So I know this is on 720, but
I think somebody
that's a lot.
Somebody brought up in the chat that she's probably sea folk, right?
Oh gosh.
That's an excellent point.
She's got no chain going from her nose to her fucking ears.
Well,
but
she's
wouldn't that
clearly
be
low
great?
on the pecking order, but so the thing is that this thing that's making her nihilistic, right? It's the sameness of this town, how it's so small and it's all she's ever known. Like that's an easily solved problem. Like
Yeah,
you literally just start
leave your
walking.
fucking town.
Start walking. Like
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
That is why you turn to evil. That's why you start serving the devil. Is because your town is boring.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck this show.
In the hands of somebody that wasn't a complete dipshit, Matt being conflicted between, going back and trying to save his sisters and, sticking with his friends could have been interesting. But instead, we decide that we're going to address this conflict in one half-assed conversation in which we're going to
Wait
we're
a
going
sec.
to
Can you
let
pause
Dane
here, Matt?
of the lines.
Pause. Do you guys see that? Sorry to steal your thunder there, Alex. It's something I mentioned earlier where Matt said he's going to beg, borrow, or steal to get back home. And Dana says, I'd think twice about that last one because if you steal, you're going to end up in a cage. Exactly like that pickpocket and Tom ended up in cages, right? With arrows through them. Is that what happened?
Well, and also
did
it also implies that the Aiel are thieves apparently.
Well, yeah, this is where it's hard to make any sense of the show because Tom implies that the Ioman wasn't stealing anything. That he was just killed because he was different or whatever. She says he's killed because he was stealing. I hate giving the show the benefit of the doubt, but you talk about that pickpocket, and I got to point out that Tom is the only one that noticed the theft. But oh gosh,
That still doesn't work because
No.
we don't assume that a one-off character just
Yes.
decides to do something to a character because they're the main character in the narrative.
yes,
That establishes that character is a regular pickpocket.
yes, that is absolutely accurate.
And this is one other sad thing that I just briefly have to mention. But if you're watching the show with sound, when Dana's telling her whole life story, the world's tiniest violin is actually playing and giving you that sad music.
Oh my god. This part right here is one of my favorites.
How could that be possible?
It takes a little bit. I'm
All right.
being completely sarcastic. We were talking about.
Well,
I'm sorry. I'm gonna
lay
butcher the
it on us. Lay it on us.
Space Oyster 142, Wheel of Prime, a series of unrelated events, is just perfect in this because we're about to see Lan get on his horse, ride off, and just so happen to miraculously see the crowd of Aes Sedai going down beneath them. Like, there's no reason for him to think this. He just, the show needs him to get near the other Aes Sedai. It's just the most random decision.
Hold up. Did the Whitecloaks mention something about Aes Sedai to the south?
Yeah.
No, but that was out of town.
They said they need
Yeah,
to get to
and
Whitebridge because you could find an Aes Sedai healer there.
Yeah, so that doesn't connect to this at all either. Oh.
It's just Land's sixth or maybe even his seventh sense.
So here's another thing where they're weirdly keeping to the book and weirdly deviating. Because in the book, might make sense for them to go south to look for Aes Sedai because they know about Logain. They know there's going to be Aes Sedai taking care of Logain. Of course, they wouldn't be coming.
I don't
They
even
would be coming
think
through
they
here.
say that Land's going south, but I mean that the books wouldn't do this because Moraine never got the fucking stab wound.
Yeah, obviously it doesn't make any sense. But if that were to happen in the books, and they were for some reason to come through Western Andor instead of going through Camelin, then it might make sense. But it just doesn't. It just doesn't. Oh.
You can't go south. There's Garen's Wall there.
Yeah.
You can't get into Gildon. You'd have to go completely east until basically the Four Kings and the road to Lugard. Like, anyways,
Yeah, if they're going to consolidate all 2 rivers into one little village,
this
who knows
fucking
about
AIDS and
geography.
cancer on stilts. Like this is fucking awful.
So I paused on that line because, like, man, Nynaeve went from trying to kill Lan to like, oh, you're not gonna hang out with me, real fast.
Trusted
Yeah.
companion.
Yeah.
Fucking, I hate this show.
Like, dude, you'll keep her safe. She just tried to kill you like 20 minutes ago.
Don't worry, she's been neutered because she's wearing a fucking coat from Elf.
Also,
Will Ferrell.
you know, this would be a decent opportunity for them to have tried to actually establish her as like primarily a character motivated by healing. I mean, I know they've ruined that by taking away her triage scene, having her attempt to kill Lan, later literally shanking a guy and feeling no regrets about it. But like, they could have said here, instead of it being like a question, like, oh, well, what if I don't? You know, what if I let her die? Instead,
Like,
she could assert the fact that like, even if I don't like you, even if I dislike her, even if I, you know, hate the fact that you took these, you know, kids away from our village,
I
like
mean, they
I'm
could have
never
course corrected her character.
yeah, they could have said, look, I would
And they did
never
the
let a
opposite.
character die. Like I would still take care of a person even if that person had attacked me. You know, there could have been a line of dialogue here that actually established her character as somebody who is an empathetic person, a healer, someone who like deplores violence, and instead they just again they missed the opportunity to ever establish her as somebody who isn't just the angry, violent person.
Yeah,
The
you have
mad
her.
black woman, like
You,
the fucking show shooting themselves in the foot in their progressive message. Like,
you
fuck
have.
these people. They're worse racists than any fucking white cloak.
I
To
mean,
be
just
honest,
because
like,
Ragnar cast every villain in the entire series as a person of color, if you include Ishamael, Valda, and Padden Fane, and
for
every
representation.
and every like known bad woman, Leandrin, we're led to believe at least is probably into girls, right, or at least bi. So like yeah, every single villain is a representation target for old Ragnar.
But you,
Foot
if you
shot, boom.
have a line of dialogue, her saying something like, I'll heal you no matter what. That yeah, that works just perfectly. It makes me think of that line Malcolm Reynolds has in Firefly. It's like, if I ever shoot you, like you'll be awake, you'll be armed, you'll be on your feet, and you'll be facing me. Like,
Yeah.
oh, such a missed
Instead, we don't even
opportunity.
get her saying, I'll keep her safe. We get Lan saying, you'll keep her safe.
Yes.
Who taught these people how to write? Who is teaching people in Hollywood right now that the way
No
that you
one.
establish a character's traits is you have another character state the trait to their face? My God, people.
I mean, the same people who are failing our public education system are apparently failing
No,
our screenwriters' education.
you cannot blame this on the well, maybe you could, because the public education system has been fucking terrible for ages.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing the results of that.
I don't know what this is because everyone was yammering about this golden age of television where you had great shows. The Sopranos arguably kicked it all off, but kind
The
of
Wire was
when
good.
the Wire was a bit later,
Yeah.
but when serialization or basically that you could count on everyone watching a show and watching every episode in sequence, and therefore you could do a chained story rather than every episode needed to be kind of the starting and end point needed to be the same.
Like
So
the
if you
Monster of the
missed a
Week.
couple episodes, yeah, the story of the week kind of thing. When that shift happened, and arguably that happened with the rise of DVDs and the sale of DVD box sets, all of a sudden this whole TV medium opened up to longer form storytelling, and people who wanted to tell stories that were maybe too long for film flooded into it, and you got great TV shows from Breaking Bad to Game of Thrones to well, you guys just spitball a bunch of them out there. But what the fuck has happened in the last 5 years? Because it's turned into fucking dog shit.
I
Well,
think Good
they
Kyle
stopped.
makes a phenomenal point in the chat. He said they're not letting the cream rise to the top. And
They're
I think
not.
that's undeniably true in the sense that if you look at um, you know, who is being chosen for this project, um,
Some
this one
some
was
ginger who
clearly
was on
a,
Survivor. Like,
but he was
what?
a diversity hire. You look at Kenobi, how proud Disney was of having the first woman Asian director and Asian director of cinematography.
Was it
Like the
any good? I
no, it's
didn't
fucking
watch it,
sucked.
but I presume it fucking sucked dick.
Oh yeah, it's laughable. It is. I think Pips and I were saying that it is worse if you remove the intellectual vandalism aspect of it. Kenobi is worse than Wheel of Prime. Which
I will,
is
I'll
saying
say
Because you
the,
don't have a well-regarded original source to be desecrated.
yeah,
Yeah.
the Leia chase scenes in Kenobi were certainly worse than the Perrin and Egwene wolf chase scenes here.
Yes.
yes, there were several scenes that were just far more abhorrent than anything that Rafe even
We
managed to
we
do.
still
But
didn't see Egwene and Perrin escape the Whitecloaks by hiding two people in one coat.
yes,
Well, just wait for season 2. That's all I have to say.
Oh, you
I
need
fuck
to.
I hate Lan.
Hey, Aldib is
I
still
hate
gone. I still think we haven't seen Aldib since they parked it here in the
Yeah,
clearing.
this is Mandar. We haven't seen Aldib or the horse that fucking Nynaeve rode in on, and this is she gonna say? Oh shit. Okay, she's Rosamund is teasing me for later.
Wait, what happened?
I think
They had like 2-inch wide wheel ruts before, and now they've got like
Yeah.
modern tire worn.
Also, why were
Right.
the
right.
two of them
Fucking truck
these tire
tires.
tracks fucking quads. Is that what they're doing?
and why are the two of them so bad at walking? Did you see them walking down this road? They were like barely moving forward, mostly just sort of jostling side to side.
So this is what I said at the outset. Like this part of our
You don't have to
rewatch, it's
protect
a
me,
little bit.
Perrin. I can protect you.
All right. I,
You know what?
I,
Okay, go ahead, Alex.
that's like, all right, you stay here wide out in the open where anyone can see you for miles at a time
Yes.
while
Yeah.
I go into the forest. My God, man. At least get
So
to the trees and try and hunker down. Like,
So
And
this is
out
trying
in
to
the open,
capture elements of the books, right? It's trying to capture that Perrin. He did have this impulse in the Eye of the World, right? You stay back. I'll go look. I'll go see what's up. That's completely from there. But Alex, what you point out, it wasn't when they were the only fucking people higher than fucking 4 feet on a flat ass fucking plane that could be seen for
It
miles.
was when
road.
they were in a small little sort of ravine between two ridge lines, and he and Elias would go and peek up over the next ridge line to see if it was safe. So they left her and Bella in safety between the ridge lines. But yeah, here he's like, you stay here completely exposed on this hill where there are wolves all around us that have been chasing us.
where Perrin thinks there might be white cloaks around.
Yep,
I
for
was going
some
to say,
reason.
Trip actually in the comments makes a phenomenal point here. At this point, aren't they under the impression that the wolves, which are behind them,
Yep.
are the far bigger threat than what is in front of them in the
Yes.
forest?
Yes. I said leaving her out there for the wolves to eat. You know.
Oh my gosh.
It's all fine. Don't think too hard. Just consume the product.
Yes, parent, it is your fault. You fucking killed your wife.
Did any of the three guys ever cry
Is this right here?
in the book?
Is this the shot of a good love triangle sort of set up here? Like she's hugging him, and he is clearly very into it. Is that his into it face? Are we supposed to believe this is establishing the love triangle?
I don't know what his face is. He's only got
He
two
looked like
of them. Like
he looked like he was taking a shit.
they're holding hands.
No,
Were they?
no.
And I think in the previous one they
No,
were.
their hands are just close together.
No, she was hanging on his arm.
Seriously,
like
why are
this.
they so bad at walking?
I don't know.
How why are there tinkers behind them? Like why?
Don't know. The
It's just-
implication that the Tinkers were going to ambush them just
Yeah.
kills me.
It is pretty great.
I like.
Oh well, here's
See-
now we can say for sure that the wolves are not the Tinker's dogs because we see the Tinker's dogs and they're bigger than them.
They're
Which-
bigger dogs, Saint Bernards, whatever.
Also, how would you have ever like
why are
read
they all
the
wearing
books?
fucking brown and
That's
gray?
exactly what I was gonna say. How would you have ever read the books and been like, all right, we need to dress these people in like earth-toned ponchos? That's the right way to go.
Yeah, and we've seen other characters with brighter clothing too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's so bad. But why are Tinkers ambushing them? And they've apparently gone way out of their way to do this because their wagons are a good long walk away.
Yep.
So the Tinkers got scouts out.
Where did the
so they
fog
can
come from?
Who knows?
Smoke machines. We
It's
we
just-
established that in the earlier episode.
It's just middle of the day.
I
5
like
minutes
how
ago, wasn't it?
I like how the woman on the right is not at all interested in these people that they've just found. She's just like,
That could be a symptom of pauses, but at least they all have fucking dreadlocks. That seems to be more of a constant of these Tinkers rather than their ethnicities or their bright clothes. Is that they all have fucking dreadlocks?
Oh,
Well,
reveal.
every
big,
last
big
one.
reveal. Big
Well-
reveal. Nynaeve is a tinker.
well,
The guy.
Uh,
shit, dude! You know what? You might actually be onto
Her
something.
abandoned
That-
her
that is-
abandoning parents for tinkers.
That is a our watch show level. Like I don't know if you have any alts, but I'd be posting that. Being like, hey, I just watched this show that I love for like the 20th time, and I think that Nynaeve, because of her dreadlock braids, must be a tinker.
She's
it's
also wearing
because-
bright
it's-
green. She's wearing bright green.
it's Rafe. It's Rafe
she's wearing-
foreshadowing the Tinker Aiel connection.
Fucking elf costume, green and gold costume. Nynaeve's costume is more bright than what I'm seeing here.
Now, let's be honest. If there was one group in Randland that was going to have dreadlocks, it would be the Tinkers.
I'm just going to say
Defolk.
the guy on the left, the boy on the left,
The check
have
with
never-
dreadlocks, the
I have
check
never
extra that they paid
unnaturally like
$200 for.
undeservedly hated anyone more than I hate that person.
And wait! Fuck you, Alex. You were taking me to task for being racist against Czechs. If there's anyone in this whole fucking shot that is Czech and is worthy of that, it's that fucking guy. So The
It's not
fuck?
it's not his Czechness. It is entirely the haircut. The haircut
but
that you are about to
that's
see.
probably a Czech haircut.
All right, hit play. Let's see the
Or
haircut.
it's a
Okay.
wig, and that's where 20% of the budget went. But
The bangs and dreadlocks combination is just fucking legendary.
Hit play. Let's see it.
Bowl cut up front, dreads in the back.
yeah, it's a Czech extra. Trip says, "Oh
Ugh.
God, not the Czechs." Yeah, he looks like he's from Monty Python. She says, "Which Monty Python?"
he
Trip,
looks- he
reply to
looks
me.
like-
Which Monty Python? Is it the Holy Grail, or is it some other sketch about Czechs?
Okay. So
This doesn't
that's
have
all-
this doesn't have Holy Grail production qualities. This is Flying Circus at best.
It's got a lot of smoke.
Okay,
Lumberjack.
Yeah, are you
Ozzy
playing?
says lumberjacks. Fuck you, Ozzy. Lumberjacks were Canadian. They don't look this terrible. Holy Grail came to mind, says Trip. Anyway, okay.
try to bring this back to something more substantial. I gotta say, I don't think there's any scene that better proves that there was an agenda behind some of the gender stuff with this show than these Tinker sequences, because there is no reason at all that Isla needs to have Rain's lines here. If he were saying all this dialogue, it would make no difference to the story. Nothing.
It's worse. It's worse than that, Matt. And that is because we don't get Elias. Why don't we get Elias or Bale Doman or any of that? It's because in an episode and a half from now, we need to make room for fucking Steppen. But if Matt had run into Elias, and that's the pattern or
I
whatever
assume you
doing
mean
its thing.
Perrin.
Hmm?
I assume you
Yeah.
mean Perrin
Yeah.
running
Yeah.
into Elias.
Elias parent. I thought that's what I said.
You said Matt.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was calling you Matt, and I've been drinking.
Dan's
You're
drunk.
good. You're good.
Okay. All right. If Elias ran into Perrin and they got this initial intro, all this awkward fucking dialogue of do you know the song? And then Aram stepping up and saying, oh, this is what you need to say. All that goes out the fucking window, and you wouldn't need to fucking do this. So this is all superfluous shit. And as much as Steppen was superfluous shit, you could have gotten all of this into your fucking 8 episodes because and here's what I'm honestly thinking. Is Amazon trying to do comps, right? Are they trying to compare how this show performs versus their other shows? Because their other shows are on 8 episodes and have a certain amount of minutes, and they don't want to do 10 or 12 because they want to assess how good a show is. Like, the worst fucking possible reason for constricting a show to 8 episodes and therefore having people make creative choices that neuter the whole fucking show. Anyways, you could have had Elias talk to Perrin and save time based on how awkward and how fucking dumb this intro is with the Tinkers.
Especially considering how much time they spent showing wolves chasing them. Like,
Yeah, they needed that once and then run into Elias, right? Who explains the rest,
they
and
didn't
then
need
bring the
chasing
wolves
at
in.
all. They just need Elias to show up, be like, "Hi, my friends found you." Blah blah blah. Here's some
fucking
food.
hate this.
Yeah, but if they had explained what his wolf powers were, then you wouldn't think, well, maybe Perrin's the dragon.
No, you would. If you haven't read the books, seeing that he could talk to wolves might make you think he is the dragon.
Nah. If they had explained it away, it's the same reason why they tipped their hand too much with the dagger corrupting Matt. You saw it on the forums. People who hadn't read the books were all like, Matt could be, except that's clearly the dagger, not Matt, which means that it's either. So
I will go to my grave saying this was a very easy fix.
yes,
You give Matt the ability to speak the old tongue, you give Perrin the wolf thing, and you give Gran the ability to channel. And you have Moraine give you a line of dialogue that the Dragon Reborn had fantastically rare powers. Some say the beasts answered his call. Some say he remembered his previous lives, and he was the most powerful male channeler to ever exist. Bam. Each guy has one thing that makes them not fucking worthless, and you've maintained the mystery of the dragon.
Yeah,
This
Why are
but
was a
you not
didn't
writing?
need the
Why are you not
mystery.
writing this show?
nope.
Gosh,
Alex is not writing this show because he's too intelligent.
fair enough. Fair enough.
So how are we near our stopping point, Dane?
So, like, this is ridiculous on stilts, but we're getting close because we have the creepy Tinkers and their dogs, and we have creepy Aram. But like the things that we can gripe about this particular scene are the looks and the
Perrin's
dialogue and how
face
bad.
here. Put the timer on the open
Yeah.
mouth Perrin face.
Open mouth. Matt, can you pause just so we don't run around with the algos? I know Pips found a filtered workaround for that.
Yeah, the watermark is working fine.
Okay. We got one more scene after this, and it's the kind of the all the gay sex jokes from Dana.
Look how well those people in the background just like blend into the land because they are in browns and grays and earth tones. Ugh.
I think that Czech dude is clearly wearing a wig. This is where all the wig money went. All these dreads. All these white people with dreadlocks.
I didn't
Hey,
even
people
like this
making a
actress
show.
in freaking The Tudors.
People, anybody with any interest in making a show, actually, just anybody ever. no white people in dreadlocks. Just it's
Yeah.
a
Just don't.
commandment.
Just,
Carve it in stone.
Did these
Ru-
wagons look?
Rule number 1 on the book, page 1 of making film: don't put white people in dreads.
Did these wagons look big enough for people to be living into you?
Not really.
Also, like how many of them there are. Like there were very clearly only 2 wagon tracks.
Are those chimneys?
That
in
actually,
Yeah,
wooden
but
wagons?
yeah, that I mean, you'd have a little
But
stove,
that foots with the books.
Yeah.
Like the wagon should have chimneys.
a little
little-
house
little
with a little
houses,
stove.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's yeah. The only
Yeah.
thing that I say is that they're again they're not very brightly colored.
Yeah.
Again, like these are the types of things that people can sit and say like, oh, you guys are nitpicking and none of these details matter. And like, cool, the brightly colored tinkers don't matter in the grand scheme of things. I totally agree. However, giving a shit about the world that you're adapting does matter. And things like doing something where it costs you nothing to get the detail right and you just could do it right is such a strong indication of the mindset of the people making the show, where they couldn't even be bothered to make these people have bright colored clothing and bright colored wagons. Like, how would that have hurt their story in any way whatsoever?
Yeah.
I do
Can you
think
pause
some
here,
of,
Matt?
I do think some of these wagons are brightly colored and it's just the lighting and cinematography, but not all of them for sure.
That
Yeah,
speaks
that-
to it. But what gets revealed here in these lines is that apparently Egwene and Perrin have never heard of the Tuatha'an, the traveling people, or the Tinkers.
Yeah, I was watching. I couldn't figure out. They have a little look after they're figuring out who they are, and I can't tell if it's supposed to be like, "Oh no, it's Tinkers," or like, "I'm clueless. I have no idea what this is."
So they never heard the song "The Tinker Has My Pots" or whatever. They're completely clueless out of
Yeah,
all
that's
of
clueless
this.
right there.
I mean, is that clueless or is that just Perrin's face? Like, it's kind of hard to tell.
Well, wait, Egwene
Yes.
is supposed to know everything because she's hyper intelligent, right?
Well, yeah. So
And
Perrin
she looks as dumb as Perrin.
Perrin has resting clueless face, and Egwene was looking at him like, "You stupid idiot! How do you not know about this?"
Yet she says nothing. And there, she like,
Oh, she's too hungry. Look at that.
oh fuck.
I have a broad overarching question.
Okay. Pause.
Why the fuck
Oh
are we
wait,
here?
I think we just saw a chop.
Yeah, I'm going back.
Like, why are we
Alright,
having this scene?
Thank fucking
It-
God we moved on to from Horsewatch to
Like,
axe hatchet.
No,
chop
we're still
watch.
on Horse Watch. We'll have to see when Aldeeb
Alright.
shows up again.
Yeah,
Gosh.
that axe was already down, and that they probably had the 2 pieces of wood on either side, and
Yep.
then they put a squib between them
Yep.
in order to
Yeah.
blow them apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing came down there. But I should fucking post a picture of my fucking axe, but yeah, that is a hatchet.
Look at his like the way his 2 hands are holding it, and how close he is to the axe, the hatchet head there. Like, there's
Well,
Yeah, you're
well,
gonna
if
you're gonna
you're
chop
chop,
some knuckles there.
if
Yeah.
if you're chopping wood, your hands will be close together when it hits.
sure.
But
Mhm.
yeah,
gonna
but
be
it's
down
too
toward the
close to
bottom
where
of
the
that.
log
Yeah.
is going to be.
Just
Yeah.
just imagine when you back this shot up though, his physical posture, his back he's like clearly leaning forward with his hands outstretched in front of him. His back would be brutalized if he was actually chopping wood that
you
way.
do not chop down into a block that is at waist height, which is what's happening here.
Yep.
All right, hit
I guess
play.
I want to actually take a step back here.
Oh, he took the coat off.
Oh my, yeah, he's caressing that handle like it's fucking Matt's dick. Sorry,
Wow.
sorry Matt. It's
He took the
a-
coat off and it just got hit by that wood.
Gotcha. All right. So Dane and Pips, Matt, I want to ask you guys a question. Given the choice, okay, we have to cut something from the Eye of the World.
Yep.
Hypothetically.
no. All right, fine.
Given the
fuck you, but
choice
okay.
between cutting Elias and the Wolves and cutting the Tinkers
I would have cut the Tinkers every day.
7 days a week.
The Tinkers,
time.
but the purpose the Tinkers played in Eye of the World is they gave another source of knowledge about the Eye of the World being important and having to, the message about something going down at the Eye of the World. But there are 2 other ways that we learn about that, and so you could have just given us the 2 other ways.
I will say
so
that-
it's just
Well,
I
What
do
what
think,
I'll say is it introduces Aram and
yeah,
But
yeah.
you could,
some
but
of the
honestly,
rest.
you could cut Aram's
Okay.
whole arc out of the
I was
story.
going to say, fuck
Like,
Aram.
like
Like I
Aram,
said,
You don't need Aram.
no.
I prefer Elias over Aram. Is more entertaining to read. I
Yep.
like him more as a character. He's cooler.
Yep.
But I will say Aram is more meaningful to Perrin's development and story.
You could easily put Aram
So
in somewhere else.
I'd
This
put
wouldn't even be
Yes,
difficult.
so
absolutely.
Matt, I would put Aram and I would put Elias on the scales that we saw when we entered Breen Spring. Those big fucking iron scales. And, there might be some oscillation back and forth. But I'd say at the end of the day, given how Aram's whole story ended
Yeah.
and the importance of getting Perrin
Trip
set up correctly.
Yes, Trip is making a point that when you add in the wolves, yes, absolutely, it's more
Yeah.
important that the
Yes.
wolves get set up for sure, and they don't do that properly here.
Yeah.
And Elias is how you do that.
Aram
Trip is a fucking genius.
Aram has nothing real going on in his overall arc because of like Dane said, how it ended made it sort of a nothing. I mean,
That is totally fair.
It is and it isn't. Like it was maybe anticlimactic, that whole Aram line. I still think it was good because
it was good
a
when you had when you have 15 books to tell the story, then yeah, it's fine.
But
when
it was a reflection of the destruction of the axe side of his choice. Right?
Anyway,
I think we're
agreed
you're right.
that
Okay.
Now let's see. Do we get a full chop here?
No.
Gosh.
That was a stunt double doing that chop.
I think that was a chop onto pre-split wood.
Yeah, that is not at all how that would look. That looked
I
like
love how every chop completely severs them in two from a whole log. Like you never have to make multiple swipes.
Just
They're never
perfectly
strung together.
chopped too.
They're never strung together by a few strands.
Yep.
Never.
His axe never binds in it at all.
You guys are gonna get hot for that. That's for sure. But holy fuck, that wood is green beyond belief.
Yeah, it's so wet.
We should
Look
stop
at that
focusing on the
swing.
wood.
Son of
Let's start focusing on what they're saying. Just for a second.
Have to. It's more cringy than the axe.
Maybe.
Look at that look.
Oh my, look at those fucking sex eyes. All right, come this way. And he picks up his fucking coat. And this two air.
In fairness, this first going to be a
let's
temptress to keep him here for the shadow.
Here. So Rand did all that work, and he's fine with sleeping outside under a tarp. To be fair, if you're fine sleeping outside under a tarp,
why'd you do?
Why aren't you fine fucking off and sleeping under a hedge? Because it's not much better.
Do you think that Rafe or Ragnar and everyone else realizes that tarps aren't waterproof?
I don't think they've ever slept outside in their life, and I think if they,
well, we know that Rafe has.
Wait, what?
His survivor days.
He actually led the survivalist club at Brown, but he also didn't write this episode, so
He was just the showrunner for it, so that's less of an excuse as to why this whole fucking show is terrible. But I'm not willing to give him any credit. But what I will say is, you get a tarp, you sleep under a tarp. If it's not done right, you get all the water shitting off the side, and guess what? It leaks right back fucking at you if you haven't set your shit up right, and it soaks your sleeping bag if you have one till you wish you'd just fucking kill yourself. Sleeping in a cold, wet sleeping bag is the worst fucking experience you'll ever have.
Yes.
I can think of some worse ones.
Wait.
I was going to say, I'm sure Pip says well.
Pip's just been in the Marines, and maybe he's basically done the same thing, but while under live enemy fire. So I don't want to front for that. But all right.
I'm gonna say sleeping in a fighting hole that is waist deep, full of water. So you're literally just sleeping in a freaking puddle.
Okay, that's worse. That's worse. And thank you for your service.
Okay.
Because none of us are gonna get close to that.
Phipps, okay, you're a horse. Where's your waist? How are you waist deep in anything?
Hey, it was a deep hole.
Right. Oh,
Chips is a
I like
fucking
this line.
stallion. He ain't a
Do you
horse.
think that I see any of this coin? Wait, if you don't see any
Wait,
of
wait.
this coin, how are you
Pause.
paying them?
Oh, you can be as loud as
How
you
are
want.
you still in business
And
as the proprietor of a fucking inn,
no,
and you don't see the coin of
no,
people
no,
who
no, no, no,
ate?
no, no. She's saying she's not the proprietor. So why? What on earth is keeping her here in this town that she wants to leave so bad?
It's not her inn. She doesn't like anybody here. She was born in dirt, and the only thing stopping her is that she can't walk.
She doesn't see any of the coin, but she does have hiring and firing decisions.
Fuck.
And apparently can give rooms out for free.
Yeah, exactly.
Here, you won't hear a thing. No one will hear a thing. Nothing like a slap and tickle to shore up really pause. Like, oh my fucking god. Oh my
Uh,
god.
it just makes me think of what was it, Super Troopers, where he's drunkenly saying "slap and pickle."
And what about their interaction has led her to this conclusion? Like,
They showed up together?
Yeah, that's all
they,
it takes.
Because
Men,
that's how a
two
millennial
two
bartender
men,
thinks these days?
two
they
men
haven't
can't be
even
friends. They
they
have to
well,
be.
no. As far as she knows, they're not even friends. They haven't like even gotten along while they've been there. And all she knows is that Matt abandoned Rand to come in and look for something else to do, and then immediately started
Yeah.
talking about abandoning him more and going all the way back by himself.
Exactly. As Tripp's pointing out on the chat, like Matt wants to fuck off and go away and wants to split up, right? He's basically said, I want a riverboat ticket by myself. And Dana's basically saying, well, you know what? Net, I'll give you this room and maybe you can fucking make up with your boyfriend. Oh no, that's not how it is. And says Rand, I could do better. Like talk about a scene written by people who only know the fucking millennial bar scene in downtown New York.
Yeah, this is the most superficial aspect. I bring up this quote at every opportunity, that C.S. Lewis quote. It's like, those who cannot conceive of friendship as except as an elaboration or betrayal of eros betray the fact that they've never had a friend. Like,
Yeah, and
gosh, people.
that is these people because and in their defense, I wouldn't want to be friends with them, and I don't think anyone else would be either.
Well, it makes it because you go back to the nihilism. A lot of these people, they may think they know the right way, the way that everybody should live and everything, but they're they openly admit to being self-loathing. Like all the memes online are always about how much you hate yourself or hate your life or want to kill yourself, right? It's uh, but you feel that way, but you think that your way of being is the way that everyone else should aspire to, and
Misery
that it's
loves
the norm.
company.
Oh, well, yeah, we understand that for sure.
I hate her so much. Yeah, you should keep your gob shut. You should fucking. Oh my.
This is the
Oh
scene that I
fuck!
think
What?
the Wheel of Time, or the WOT show people are going off of when he says
Matt, you gotta pause here. It's just like
he
I could do better if I was
yeah
in the men.
Yeah, because he could have Perrin. That's the message that we're supposed to get. I could do better. I could have Perrin.
yeah Jesus, pour one out for our boy who didn't deserve this.
The
What?
guy,
Why would he? He wouldn't be saying this. Like,
no, hold up.
be
So
true to your
they,
setting. You wouldn't be saying like you wouldn't be from a small town and being like, oh yeah, like guys fuck guys all the time. Don't worry about that. Like, ha ha ha. I can't believe you misconstrued this because we're fucking
yeah.
millennials 2015 kind of
Let's
shit.
let's
Like,
let's ignore that. Let's ignore that orientation part of it. Just like the idea that he's talking flippantly about could do better. Like, this is the same character who had no clue what Bearlane was trying to do in the Stone of Fear, and was scandalized by that suggestion. And
Yeah, he
uh,
is a Victorian sentimentality kind of prim proper. He kind of gets offended by the blatant sexuality, and you know what? Yeah, okay. Wheel of Time filled with innuendo, but they don't act on it, and that is a part of the whole fucking
well,
charm
except for
of it.
Avienda,
Hmm.
she acts on it.
Yeah, under extreme duress, but it's but you get what I'm saying, right?
Yes, yes,
If
yes.
you're in a world that's between medieval and Renaissance, technology based, you may or may not have effective birth control. Pips, you mentioned this on the
They
Heartleaf
have
tea.
some, yeah.
It does it exist? Yes or no? Is that false narrator or whatnot? The stakes are higher if you want to take a relationship to a higher level. Um, and with all of it, you've got really great relationships that are not sex based, which it's fucking great. Yet, yes, there's that undertone, but holy shit, if you're doing a big, massive, epic story about genders, men and women need to work together, and yeah, that you have the undertone there, but you aren't always throwing that in people's faces and turning this into some fucking Pornhub
So,
um,
so assuming the show
type story.
makes it this far, what odds do you guys give if you're taking bets? What odds do you guys give on Matt and Brigitta's friendship even remotely resembling the book form?
0.
None,
0%.
I mean,
none.
I'm right there too. Oh gosh.
Matt Brigitte, they're gonna. Fail is probably dead based on the script release from the last time. So and they're gonna basically pat themselves on the back and say, "Yeah, we're so clever." Of course, Perrin isn't gonna have angst over killing his wife, and he won't move on to another wife in 6 months because they wrote Fail out, and they're gonna give Avienda to Perrin because they can't have Rand have Elaine and Avienda and Min. So they're just going to ship Rand with Elaine or Egwene and make that the thing. Min, who gives a
They're
shit? Like
they're gonna do a
no
polyamory
one wants to
thing
get
somehow.
the polyamory stuff is all going to be explored by Maxim and Owen and Alana and maybe Rand if he gets bonded early. Like fuck this show. Like I I really hope it gets canceled so that my worst predictions don't actually come true. Because some of them are kind of extending beyond season 2. Dana doesn't drink on the job. Dana's drunker than I am. All right.
I think we're done, right?
Yeah. Matt, you
Can
you
can we
pause.
get can you give me land just riding in a random direction on
No,
fire?
this is how we got to start with Tryp next week.
We're already over. We're already
We
over
are
the hour
done.
mark.
This
All
is a great lens flare JJ shot. This is how we're going. I don't know.
I think. I think.
I know I
Final
ranted
thoughts.
enough towards the end, but yeah, Matt, Pips, Alex, final thoughts. I'm
Wait,
gonna shut
hold
up
up,
for
hold
like
up,
5
hold up,
minutes.
hold up. Lan is riding west or east, but he's definitely not going south.
Yeah,
I mean,
Depends out on how far north he is.
Lan is going in a random direction because Lan read the script and knows that that's where the Aes Sedai are.
it's this show literally is like Spaceballs some of the time. It's just yeah, he fast forwarded. He saw what happened in the next episode. Oh
All I
man.
have to say is, good God, what a fucking wet fart of 20 minutes of screen time. Like, what did we actually accomplish here?
Rand and Matt found a place to stay. Perrin and Egwene met the Tinkers and had some food. And Lan and Nynaeve and Moraine have really made no progress.
Matt's character continued to get shat on by the script and made him even more of a freaking degenerate. Rand is really good at chopping wood and also sort of into gay stuff, probably with Perrin.
As a matter of fact, everyone should know that Rand is the dragon by this point because clearly it takes the one power to chop wood like that.
It's pretty
Yeah.
good wood chopping.
That is
and
a
we got
phenomenal insight there, Matt.
Jake Merrill.
Phenomenal.
How much wood could a dragon chop if a dragon could chop wood?
Right.
17.
How forgettable is Tom's song that we're literally like trying to recount the episode? We're just like, oh yeah,
I totally forgot Tom was a
Tom
dragon.
Maryland technically was in this.
It's because
Who did not forget?
it's because it's not Tom. It's just some guy they run into
You
that
literally,
has vaguely the same name and also fights a fade.
you literally could have had Michael Kramer in costume, and it would have been better than this
Nice.
Tom.
That would have been definitely better.
Nice.
I think honestly we should have all just listened to the audiobook.
We could have had Wayne Knight's corpse in costume, and it would have been better than that. But
Alex, you're misinterpreting the comment there. Michael Kramer is not the Seinfeld actor. It's the audiobook guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
I know.
Well, you said Wayne Knight, and that's Newman.
No, Wayne Knight, the big fat guy.
Yeah, from Seinfeld.
Oh, yeah. Okay, gotcha.
Wait,
I was just trying to come up with.
Is this a double entendre? What are we doing?
I was just trying to come up with the most like physically different person from Tom Maryland that I could think of, and I just watched Space Jam recently, so.
And we came up. Well, shit. All roads lead to fucking Seinfeld, isn't that right?
That is how roads work.
Oh, this show.
Well, I don't have anything else to say. Any of you guys? I think I'm sick of this episode already.
It sucked.
Right. Can feel the clinical depression sinking in.
I honestly I can't wait for the character assassination of Matt to continue, and we're gonna get Tryp's views on the next one. And holy fucking shit, do you guys realize how much we've kind of built up as far as momentum of like everyone's kind of cluing in as to how bad this shit was, and we are not even through all the shit that was released on the first fucking day, right?
Man, that is hard to think about.
Oh my gosh.
We've done a dozen plus hours of this nonsense, and we've built up a following of, I want to say, close to 140 subs, although I know we got a bunch of them out of the outset because this was your original channel, Alex, that had like 20 subs to begin with. So maybe it's a little bit less than that, but we're growing and we're building a buzz, and we haven't even gotten through the first fucking day. And the best episode, according to everyone, that ultimate pile of dog shit, that episode 4, that's still coming up. Like, how much are we going to grow when we finally get to the true frickin' latrine style, effluent, foul, offensive, disgusting shit that is going to be wafting up from
Episodes 7 and 8.
Yeah, I think we're gonna grow
6
only
is
as we
pretty
get
bad,
close
too.
to season 2's
But
release. That's
6
what
is
I think.
fish guts.
Yeah, I kind of want to be
7 and
here.
8 is total horseshit. But
I kind of want to be here for episode 8, but I'm worried that I won't be able to like string a coherent sentence together because I'll just be like.
So I'm gonna tease my initial thoughts here for episode 8 coming up. In that, I know we've been doing these rewatches with a guest reviewer, and we've kind of been giving them a third of an episode. I think when episode 8 comes along, we got to be splicing this up
Yeah, it could be like
into
5-minute segments or something.
shorter chunks and bringing in everybody that's kind of helped us along the way. And Matt, I know for sure we're going to bring you on for that. If we do that, you've got a slot kind of saved for you. I know Sneed has too. Aussie Tryp, the people who've helped us profit for fucking sure. He's going to get a slot. We have to divide that 8th episode into all its garbage and give everybody a 30-minute chance to vent about 5 minutes of absolute fucking donkey shit.
All right. Well, any other saved thoughts? Last comments.
Fuck this show.
I think Dane's got it.
All
The
right.
wheel of time turns and age is coming fast.
All right. Well, I'll throw the thanks for coming on. Like, subscribe, all that other stuff. Comment on anything that we missed, and walk in the light.